welcome to the Valve Bounce. I'm Damo.
Oh, Steve.
Oh, Steve, we have a new Jason Richards Trophy winner. How about that? Congratulations to Matty Payne.
Well done, bro. Well done.
Nice. Nice.
Awesome job by Matty Payne.
Yeah.
How good was that, Damo?
Oh, it was
Very
good.
good.
Choice, bro. It was choice. Wow, there's a fair bit to actually unpack, isn't there? It's like quite interesting, some of the stuff that happened on the weekend. We had quite I would say, a surprise in the way that the results turned out. And I guess for me, there was quite a few interesting points. You know, some prominent teams absolutely struggling. Penrite out of the blue, coming up out of nowhere, and looks like almost a bit of speed coming under the Kostecki train, yeah?
Mate, Kostecki, he's on, mate. He's coming. Yeah. And when he gets there, they're in trouble. I'm telling you, they're in trouble because that boy, jeez, he's got some speed.
Yeah.
He's got some speed.
Yeah, I think he's going to be building quite nicely for that run into the finals series. Just seemed to be a little bit out of touch. I don't know if he was just trying to overdrive, just get a little bit too aggressive. There was certainly some points where I think, you know, with the Chaz situation, he could have easily managed that, you know, by backing off a little bit and getting him the next time. But, yeah, it didn't work out that way for him.
No, it definitely didn't. I'm just going to move my keyboard out of the way because it's irritating the bejesus out of me.
Sure.
I think you're right. He's got a heap of speed, and he so wants that first win with them.
Yeah.
And I think that was really evident, especially in that race too, where he and Chazzy had that monster battle and he came out second best. He was really quite frustrated. We'll call it frustrated.
Yeah. I think it was frustrated. I think at that point, and then the last race of the weekend, I think you might elevate to something a little more than frustrated after that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we'll get onto it at a later stage, but
yes.
He got served twice. Let's just say that.
Correct. Yeah. Well, I guess that means we should really officially kick off, and we've got the Supercars review of Taupo.
The debrief, Damo.
The debrief is our new term, so we're going to roll out some new things.
We will, not just tonight.
No, we're going to try and stick to the format. This one's called the debrief. So welcome along to your first debrief.
Yeah, it's good to be here, Damo. Thanks for having me. I got the headset on. I feel like a genuine F1 Supercars driver.
All right, pick your motorsport, mate. Come on, you can't be both.
Can't be both? Why not?
Yeah, true. Well, let's kind of kick off. We did chat just briefly there. Kostecki has got a bit of speed. You're seeing it turn out in quali, it is ominous for the rest of the field. How about our old friends at Red Bull? Whoa, weren't they just throwing springs and bars and all sorts of shit all weekend at that car?
Sorry, I was just looking around to see where they were. They're so far back I can't see them. Like, they're just gone. Who?
Well.
How good was that? How much better is the field when they're at the back of the grid?
Okay.
Is that a bit rough?
No, look, I think it's fair, but if you break it down, it's actually quite alarming that when they end up in the middle of the pack, we're kind of all talking about how shit their weekend was. Cool Drive Racing would love a weekend like that. Well, not the searching for setups, but the results of the numbers of where they finished up. You know, so it is. You know, if you put a bit of the level the playing field, they still went okay, and Feeney definitely started to find a little bit of speed towards the end, yet still failing a little bit on the racecraft.
No, they didn't find any pace. That was an Anton De Pasquale style setup there, like from Townsville yesteryear, where you've just got so many tyres because you've been crap that you can just pump in one race, and that's literally what they did. Now, kudos to them because they had the best tyres, but they still didn't get up the grid. If they didn't have those tyres, mate, they were shot. So,
yep.
I don't know. I don't think. I hope it continues. personally.
Yeah, yes, I bet you do.
So, but no, it won't. And you know what the most annoying thing out of this whole situation is, Damo? Right? They've
Oh,
had a crap bloody run, and
yep.
yet somehow Brown has extended his lead.
Yeah, yeah. Too many hands in the cookie jar. Too many people taking points from other people. Um, if you actually look at the championship results, you look like we've got a race winner in Cameron Hill, and yet he's
Mm.
still, hasn't cracked the top 5 yet. So
No,
it's like, holy! I was like, I just said that, and I was like, I remember that, right? He hasn't hit the top 5. I think he's in the top 10
no.
though.
I think he's ninth.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, I think
also.
he's ninth, but like, it just doesn't feel. The results don't sort of feel representative of what we're seeing on track, which I think is a really interesting kind of outcome of where we're at in terms of number of people taking race wins and chopping and changing.
Yeah, well, it definitely is. I'm just going to confirm here where he's seventh.
Oh,
He's
seven.
seventh after the weekend. So he's
Yep.
doing all right. He's 450 points off the lead.
Wow. Yep.
Oh, actually, that's probably not accurate. He's not 450 points off the lead. I think he's got 450 points.
All right.
He's what 201 points off the lead.
Okay. All right. There
So
you
he's
go.
not too far off, but yeah, like as you said, he's a race winner, and
Yeah.
yet we sit here and go, wow. I mean, it's actually quite interesting to look at the top 10 at the moment
Yeah.
because we've got Will Brown obviously commanding it, but then it's Waters and Payne now. So Payne stepped up into third after that weekend, so that's a big jump for him. And then Brock in fourth, and then Mostert in fifth, and Brody is sixth. So, and then Cam obviously, Anton, Randall, and then Heimgardner. So yeah, interesting top 10. I mean, Will Davison, who I would have said has had a reasonably good start to the season, sits 11th. So
It really does. It's that Russell Ingall. It's the accumulation, isn't it? It's not the.
it really
it's,
is.
It's you just the. If you can land yourself within that top 10 more consistently, you're going to be up there, right? You have these peaks and
Yep.
troughs like Cam Hill has. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. So
Well, actually, interesting. Yeah, interesting. You mentioned Waters because obviously Blinder in the first round, but where was he on this weekend in New Zealand?
I don't know. His first race was all right, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Was his first race he had an all right result? I thought it was.
it was okay. It was okay,
It was okay.
but
But after that,
Randall got him.
well, Randall slaughtered him. Not just got him. Randall was basically fighting. Wouldn't say for the win. We'll say for a podium most of the way through those last two races. But
Yep.
yeah, just I don't know what happened. Once they switched to that other tire, the super soft in that second race, he just never found any form. And I'm surprised at that because he used to be really good on the super soft. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you've got WAU who are normally terrible on that super soft, and
And suddenly they're at the front.
yeah,
Does not make sense. Mostert got the win. Mostert got the win.
Mossad did get the win. That was, in my opinion, like that was just he was just hustling, doing everything he can. He just wanted that win so badly.
Oh yeah.
But let's yeah, obviously that was great. What do you reckon of some of those moves? Kostecki and Mostert, fair play.
Oh. Look, I don't think we should be running people off the road.
Yeah,
I think it was fair play through, is it four? I think it's turn four.
4. Yeah,
Up over the hill and down. But I think he probably deserved a little bit more room on the exit of 5.
yeah,
So is it a penalty? Isn't it a penalty? We want to see hard racing, and I'd rather see that than see people get penalised from it, personally.
yeah.
But there has to be a line somewhere, and, Brody got shafted. Not just once, twice.
Yeah.
The Woody one was very interesting because you see Woody have a moment mid-corner because it's the opening lap,
Yep.
and it just shoves him just a little bit wider than he wants to be, and then it's almost no recovery from there.
Yeah.
And he got a penalty,
Yeah.
And Brody was quick to make the point, oh, I didn't think it was a penalty because, that happened to me yesterday and it wasn't.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
look, it's really hard. Yeah, look, I think Beto's doing a pretty good job.
Yep.
So I'm not going to complain about it too much, but I do think Kostecki was a little bit hard done by in
Yeah,
the end.
I think he was. I think that Wood one. I think the real difference between the two is just the fact that Woody was, he had lost a little bit of control, was sliding,
Yep.
and it's really that question of okay, because it's the start of the race, do you give more leeway because everybody's going to have a bit of cold tires, um, but like I applaud the fact that it is play on. I think the the Mostert Kostecki one, you're right, probably deserved a little bit more room, and maybe the adjudication should have come over and gone, hey, you got to let him back through. Maybe I could see that. Don't see it as a penalty if we want to keep playing on this new wave of let them race and let them rub, because
Yep.
it definitely made for a weekend where we saw great racing and good hard racing. So I was
It's
quite
the
happy with
racing
it.
we want to, yeah, it's the
Yeah,
racing we want to see, right? So
yeah,
naturally, we have to adjust our line of thinking now that this is acceptable behavior. So yeah, there were a few people that jumped up and down, oh, penalties, penalty, that should be a penalty. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, we actually want to see it. So
yeah. Stop,
let's stop
bitching,
worrying
moaning
about it,
about
stop
yeah,
bitching about it. Let's just watch it and see how it unfolds. Because what's going to happen is Brody's going to serve Mostert back at some point.
yep.
Didn't do it on the weekend, but he'll get into a position where
He
he
have
will. He'll
he,
just serve him out. So,
yep.
and that's, I mean, you don't want to necessarily see that, but at the same time, you do want to see that because it just makes it interesting, doesn't it?
Well, yes, I think we've got to keep going with the way it is. I think it is hard for the average punter because we're so used to seeing a small thing for like whatever
Penalised.
5 years ago, and it's like penalty, penalty. But in reality, excuse me, in reality, like we don't want that. We want this new form. And yeah, look,
Yep.
drivers need to figure it out a little bit and then make it work. But I think it's right that Kostecki's going to find his moment, and I'm sure there'll be a little bit of escort wide. And I just hope there's nothing, that it's the same kind of incident, so there's no penalty, because if he pushes him wide in the wrong way and then gets a penalty, he's going to be angry. The crowd's going to be
Gonna
angry.
be angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
know, and
yeah,
this is the thing, right? So they're basing it, and we need to take this into account too. We're
yeah,
basing on the outcome now. So if the outcome is like Woody versus LeBrock, where LeBrock ends up in the fence and destroys his own car because he wasn't good enough to control it, well, that means that Woody gets the penalty.
yeah,
If it's a case of you're bashing and crunching and one gets served off the road, but there's no real harm done, then it's play on. So that's what we have to get used to now.
yeah.
And yes, it's finding that line as a driver that's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, we're going to see more of this questioning, I think, along the way. And I must admit, my initial reaction was, what's Beardo got it in for against Woody? Like, why does he keep copping it? And then you see a bit more detail, and you're like, yeah, okay, maybe fair enough.
Maybe fair.
Maybe they could all take a bit of a lesson on Matty Payne's move on Hill.
Mate, how like you saw him lining it up, and it was
Yeah.
the best. That bumper cam of watching it happen was
Yeah.
absolutely insane, and
Yeah.
you just see him punch on through. I mean, Matty was going through no matter what. And if you go back to the end of last year, if that was this like same sort of situation, there's no way that any of the drivers would be doing that because the rule set would be you get penalised from it.
Yep.
I'm so glad we're in this position now that we can do these things.
Yeah.
And it was an epic move. He got his way through, and once he got through,
Yeah.
see you later, mate.
Yeah.
He is when that team's pumping, he flies. So yeah, no, great to see, and obviously, huge congratulations on the JR trophy, and we'll talk about the actual trophies later on.
We will. I guess probably the last thing I was going to touch on, just a bit of a debrief, is Courtney just unleashing a bit of mayhem in that mid pack. My goodness, like
Mate.
I couldn't believe, like, such a contrast between races, like between where he was up and, amongst it, and then was just they were nowhere for the other two races. But yeah, it was good to see.
Yeah, and strategy got him up there. So
Yeah,
they took tyres early. He got up there, and then he defended for his life.
yeah,
And at one point I was annoyed with him because Chaz lost out.
yes,
But ultimately it was a classic JC move, wasn't it? Really, like I'm going to do the old John Bow effect and really go to town on defense and
yeah,
see how long I can hold you up. And if you guys take yourself out, I don't care.
yeah. And they're like, I'm just going for it. I don't care.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he went past the cool down lap podcast just at the end of the weekend there,
Yep.
and he was pretty vocal at the fact that the cars were just nowhere this weekend or that weekend.
Yeah. Okay.
And how much pace they were lacking. So he was pretty upset with it all. So I think maybe just getting some of his frustration out in his defense.
Yeah, well, I was just starting to catch the Apex Hunters pod, and I'm not all the way through it yet, but they have just dropped when they recorded it, which was just the tail end of the weekend. That they've employed like a proper team manager, so they're investing some more because Tim is basically said, I've had enough. This is, we're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything good, and we need to make changes. So I expect there should be, now off the back of that, there should be some announcement coming out on Speed Cafe by the time this gets put up onto YouTube. There'll be announcements out there about it. So hopefully that's a move in the right direction for them.
Yeah, well, definitely. We want to see them coming up the grid and actually fighting, not just making up numbers. So,
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. We'll just have to wait and see how that works. It might take some time for that to actually help.
yeah, it might just take some time, eh?
Yes.
Well,
Damo,
yes, mate.
we've got a driver ranking system that we're bringing in here. So this driver ranking system is a points-based system. We're going to select 3 drivers that we think were the best over the weekend and give them 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point. So, based on that, what do you got, Damo? What do you got for 1 or 2 or 3 points?
It's pretty hard to go past in terms of 3 points, giving that round to Matty Payne. Just seemed to own it. And
stop copying me.
Well, I said it first, so so yeah, pretty hard to go past him. He just really owned that weekend. Just took the reins and made it his own. At 2 points, I've decided to put Mostert because I just felt like Chaz really just put the bit between his teeth to like a car that clearly wasn't great, but it was still good enough to hustle a win. And once he had a sniff of it, he just really drove like he wanted it. So it was really good. And then 1 point to Kostecki because, it is building. We can definitely see where it's going, how it's going. And I'm excited for the end of the year for him, or towards the end of the year, as to get another round under our belt. Not sure how Tassie's going to go. It's not typically a forward track. So we'll see how he goes there. But yeah, in subsequent rounds, I'm expecting him to nail his first win in the next sort of 2 or 3.
Very good. 3 points, Matt Payne. Well done, mate. Great weekend. Won the first and the last race. Well done to Penrite Racing for getting that car in the window majority of that weekend. 2 points. I've actually gone for Brodie Kostecki over Mostert because I think the qualifying
a race winner.
Mate, come on. The qualifying effort, the consistency was there. Chaz wasn't there in the first race, but yes, he won the second.
Yep.
So I think for consistency and always being there, and if it wasn't for a little bit of hard luck, he probably would have copped 3 points. But 2 points for Mr. Kostecki and 1 point for the Chazinator. Great to see him back on form. Great to see him take a win. And great to see him get the elbows out. I just wish it wasn't against another Ford.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of that. And I will say honourable mention to Cam Hill. I think he seemed to, ADP.
Held up Percat.
He towed up Burkhardt. Yeah, really did. And, Anton clearly loves that track because he was good there in the DJR car and he's good there in Team 18 car. But, yeah, didn't really transpose much into his success. But, yeah, had a crack.
Yes, no, I agree with all those mentions. And honourable mention to Davey Reynolds. This might be his final year.
Speaking of being towed up, yeah, he was served that towel on a lovely stainless steel plate, mate. It was hardcore.
He's got to do something to that car because it's not going well for him. All right. So what have we got next, Damo?
Well, next up, let's have a look at our predictions whilst we're kind of on these results.
And they were great. Let's move on.
Well, do you know what? Reading our table that we have, it looks like we were playing tic-tac-toe with names, and obviously we did not have Payne in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, race winner I had Brown, you had Waters. For race 1, race 2 was Kostecki for me, Brown for you, and of course Chaz won that one. And then the top 10 shootout poll, I said Feeney.
And I said Waters.
Slow clap for us. And then in the last one, we got even further away, really. Kostecki and Wood.
Well, look, to be fair, right, those two were battling it out at the front in that first opening.
I know. I was like...
Well, they came together.
I'm like, oh, it might be on here. Oh, no, we're not.
No, we're not. Matty Payne came through, got the win, and destroyed all our hopes and dreams of saying we had some sort of wheel knowledge. Thanks, Matty Payne.
There we go. All right. So I guess that kind of wraps up that part of it, and we'll go to our next kind of new segment, which we're going to call the Formation Lap. And I guess the Formation Lap is just about some rapid fire questions. We're just going to do some quick back and forward so we don't take too long. But
2 minutes, mate. You've only got 2 minutes. Come on.
I won't say that. No, I was going to say that's what she said. But anyway.
Well, let's interchange each one. So you can go first and then I'll take the next one
right.
asking you.
All right. Waters, we can't expect him to be a championship contender, can we? If he stays on this current form?
No.
No.
Right, move along.
Okay.
No. So I think Tickford need to work out this qualifying issue they have going at the moment.
Yeah.
Because if they can't do that, they're not going to be within a shot at the back end of the year. Because you just so hard to come up the field. I know you can, but you need some luck. So I don't think so on this current form.
Yeah, it's a shame, but yes, I think you're right on that one.
All right, Damo. So
yes.
Is Kostecki the real deal, and can he take the title at the end of this year?
Yes. Next? No.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're actually seeing, how it's kind of evolving, and we're seeing that progression. And what I do love is that, from a DJR perspective, it seems like he's dragging Will up the field as well. So they're having whatever they're doing to the car and the change they're making are working. So, yep I think he's just building nicely towards the finals race. So, yeah, definitely.
Quick follow-up question to that. How much does he look like Dick Johnson in the seat?
Yeah, he does. He's got a little bit of the old, what would you say, maybe early 90s, late 80s sort of look.
Yeah, it really does. It's about the helmet, I think. But, no, it's really good.
Yeah, it is a nice helmet. I like the paint job on that. Yeah. All right. So if Penrite gave Matty Payne like a proper car, strong car every week in out, week out, would he demolish the field?
Yep. I actually think he would. Yep. There's something about the way that Matty Payne drives when he's got a car under him that's right. Yeah. I've said it before. It's very Ambrose-esque, and he basically dominates.
Yeah.
And you can't touch him at all.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even get close enough to have a go at him. So, yeah, I think if they can get that car right on a consistent basis, they can definitely let him walk away with everything.
Yeah, I think if they sort their stuff out, I think he's a genuine contender at the end of the
Oh,
year,
yes.
if they can get it right, because he just seems to when the car's in his window for him, he just seems to be unbeatable. We've saw it in the other rounds that he's won before, so yep, agree with
Yeah,
that.
and the fact that he was really good at Adelaide that last time, not
Yep,
last year, the year
year
before,
before,
I think if they get the car in that window again at the end of this year and he's in contention, look out.
yeah, look out.
All right, so moving on from Matty Payne.
Yeah,
Woody needs to pull back on the aggression if he wants that first win, Damo.
yeah. If it was at a scale, I'd say yes is the answer to the question for sure. But if it's on a scale, I'd say if he's at, say, if that weekend that we just gone past is 10 out of 10, I want him just to dial it back to like an 8.5. It's not much, but just a little bit. Just take off a little bit of that edge. Don't push too hard. Don't run wide. Push Kostecki off. Just small little things. Just a little bit of lift on the accelerator, and he's through that corner and possibly taking the win.
Patience is the word. Got it.
Yep. Right. Mostert's return to form was pretty good, don't you think? But how is and do you think he's going to continue it? What do you think about WAU at the moment?
The return to form is good. I'm not sure it's going to continue. I hope it does. We have seen Woody actually getting the upper hand a little bit in qualifying
Yeah, that
this
was
year.
good. Yep.
So I think it's going to make Chaz have to step it up a little bit. And they just, on this new tyre, don't quite have the pace that they were running with last year. So
Yeah.
the philosophy of the setup needs to probably change a little bit now. And I think they're struggling with finding that consistency from it. So look, we'll go to Tassie, see how it goes. But it's not a pattern yet. So I'm still hesitant to say yes, it'll continue.
Yeah. Okay. Fair call. Fair call.
All right. So what a difference 12 months makes, mate. Where did it go wrong for Red Bull?
Well, I'm sure they're searching for answers too. I don't know. I've got the answers for them. It certainly just looks like that. Whether it's their eyes off the ball with the Mustang stuff, whether it's a lot of stuff happening in the background with them removing from GM and losing personnel. I don't know what it is, but they were struggling, and I don't remember a weekend where I've seen them in that sort of strange window of just not really being able to actually get it done. Now,
Yep.
I expect this to all disappear because we're going to Tassie. They've got that place, like, I don't know, they just seem to have the map for it. They just chuck their setup in and they're going to be fast. So I expect it to kind of, as a topic, disappear until it presents itself again.
I think Jeremy Moore is a big loss for them.
Yeah.
I know he's still working there, but I feel like he's got one eye
He's out.
on other things.
Yeah.
So I think, it's interesting. It's the first weekend where they've never found a solution, so to speak. So watch this space.
Yeah, interesting. So, the super soft, mate. Do you reckon it was a good idea in race 2? Or were you maybe correct where, I can't even remember if it was you or I, where we said maybe they're just getting rid of some old stock?
Yeah, I think I posed a message to you in the chat that
Yep.
they were potentially getting rid of some old stock. Yeah, I don't look. No, I think it was a bit of a wasted exercise. I like the fact that 3 Fords were in the top, but they were in the top in the first race, so didn't really make any difference in that respect. It was great to see Chaz get a win. I will say that, but I definitely feel like it was just. We've got a few hundred super softs sitting around here that we need to get rid of. Let's just use them up in one race. How about Taupo? Sounds good. Wicked. Let's go.
Yeah. I have to say, and I'll throw in like a little appendix here because
Yep.
it was totally confusing because the telecast didn't handle it very well about what was happening when, and the telecast having the issues with the way they were describing the qualifying, 8.1, 8.2, like, oh my goodness, like you couldn't have had a worse weekend from a telecast or broadcast point of view. They were terrible, and then
Yep.
some of the timing stuff that was happening as well was it just made us look like a bit of a shambles, I think.
Interesting, because we've got another podcast after this one. We need to talk about timing as well. So there's a new timing
There's a glitch.
media group that's in control now, and I don't think it's better. Just quietly.
No, it seemed to be the weekend for it, didn't it?
Definitely.
All right. All right, well, thank you, mate. Got through those reasonably quickly. And I guess now, garage gossip. We are going to talk about some, I don't know what you call it.
Like Gossip Girl? Or?
Yeah, just basically we'll just channel our inner drama queen. But let's talk about some off track or some out of scope stuff. And let's start by your favourite topic that you started and and now it's definitely in the spotlight. Wheels.
Yep. Wheels. I know.
Oh my goodness.
Strangely, my post about wheels didn't actually get any traction yet. It was the main topic all weekend.
Yeah. Amazing.
Amazing. So we posted on the weekend a rim that has a flatter edge at the top. It still looks roughly the same or similar to what they currently have, but it is a flatter design, so therefore less likely to interlock. It's an expensive exercise to do, but it's something that they need to do. But I guess, is it that we wait until the end of the season and change? Or is it a thing we need to do now? I don't know. I can see we had so many dramas with the wheel nuts and everything at the start of this Gen 3 life that it worries me that if we went and swapped wheels mid-season, we would get something similar.
Yeah.
But having said that, hopefully the lessons are learnt. So it's a lot of money to spend. I feel like it's going to come out next year and they're probably going to say it's too expensive to do now.
Yeah, well, I think the main thing is, just the stock and the inventory. They'd have to place the order. I don't reckon it's going to happen. Just to clarify stuff we spoke about last week or in the last pod, the original wheel was from Racer Industries. That was the original one on the table that everyone was happy with, except for Sean Seamer, who was CEO at the time. He was the one that made the call, not Shane Howard, to say, no, they don't. I want the better looking wheel. And it's like, well, how good was Kostecki's wheel looking after half a chunk was missing? I guess some kudos that it still didn't, it stayed on the bead or the bead stayed on the rim and didn't lose any pressure, because that was amazing. It was so much missing.
Oh, incredible. Like the actual strength of the wheel isn't in question. It's just, it's not a good racing wheel.
Yeah.
It can't take contact, and we're tin tops. Tin top racing, since the day it was born, was good for bashing into each other and playing on. So, we need a wheel that can sustain those hits and not interlock and send somebody into a barrier like, was it young Cooper Murray and Courtney, where he fired off. Actually, that's a point. We didn't bring that up.
No,
The fact that they had an interlock like that was very much like Woody and LeBrock. The only difference is that Murray didn't end up in the fence, so there was no penalty.
No penalty.
Still doesn't sit well with me. Anyway.
No, well,
moving on.
Yeah, I think that probably is a good segue. That do you think Beardo's keeping it consistent? We obviously spoke just at the start about the Brody and Chaz incident, and then the Brody and Woody incident. We have that incident you just mentioned with Cooper, James.
Courtney.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do you think he's going?
Look, I think it's a learning curve for everyone.
Yeah.
So I think some he's got right, some I don't believe is quite on the money. But they keep saying it has to be outcome based, but I can respect that to a degree, but sometimes I'm like, well, if somebody's side by side and an unfortunate contact with a wheel that you decide to go with forces them around and they find a fence, that's not on the person that was on the inside. That's on the category for implementing a shit wheel.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I think Beardo's doing a pretty good job. I think, mostly it's the drivers kind of finding their finesse. So, that's not too bad. But I'll tell you what was another little quirky thing was that pit lane. Gee, it's got some girth, but it doesn't have much length, does it?
Well, it does in the first two bays.
Yeah.
First two bays have got that little walkway between them, so then it's fine.
It's
They've got heaps of
fine.
space. Everyone else behind couldn't even get in.
Everyone else is like squashing people up against the bloody gas bottles, flinging tyres out on the side.
I know.
And it was good to see they actually put the witch's hat, whilst it was the first race, was a little aggressive, but at least
funny,
it was stopping that front team of Triple A just being able to cruise on out.
Oh, yeah.
They would have had probably another second or two faster pit stop because of it, I reckon.
Oh, 100%. So it forced them back, which is good. Although it put them almost on a 90-degree angle to the traffic that was coming down the lane. But it's a quirky little pit lane. And I suppose, the question's got to be, in the interest of fairness, does it get upgraded? I think it probably should. But then there's whispers that we're not going to be at Taupo for too many more years. So then it's a lot of money to invest when it's not
they're not going to get the return. Yeah, they're not going to get the return.
So.
So Brad Jones, we kind of had a chat about that last time, and Toyota, and he was in the.
How many times did he get asked?
He got asked a few times, but I think the at the start of the weekend where they had the kind of the press conference for the team people, he was very clear, and he was very clear all weekend that I don't want to reduce to 4. So I guess that question is, will Toyota front up a bit of extra cash for 4 cars instead of 2?
Yeah, well, Brad's basically saying, show me the money, isn't he? So he has stated that he doesn't want to do anything bar run 4 cars. So it is really up to Toyota to make that call on whether they feel they can facilitate enough cash to help them out and do that. I kind of hope they do. It'll be nice to have 6 Supras on the actual tarmac. It means that they've got a much better representation. I know Brad Jones isn't like the biggest team, but I think it's still a good thing to have extras on there, and not just a whole bunch of 4s and a whole bunch of Camaros and then a couple of Supras type thing. So yeah, I think it's probably a good thing. It's just whether Toyota can front the cash. Interesting that there's a lot of talk about the switching of manufacturers, but then there's also a lot of talk of not switching. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see, Damo.
I guess we will. So let's talk about our trophies.
I love that this is the last segment.
I'm going to do my best here just to present, and I've got a little bit of, let me just do a little, I've done a screen grab here, and I don't want that on the background, so hang on a second. There we go. So that's a picture of the trophy, and it did kind of remind me of a little poop emoji.
It really did.
The story behind it and the video they've done, you can see on the Supercars channel on YouTube. It's great. It shows some of the traditions, some of the the culture, all bleeding into it. But not sure it was shaped in the best way. But
it's an amazing piece of craftsmanship.
Yeah,
I would just say that, right?
Yeah.
Like everything is really, really cool about it. Just the initial part, when I saw it, the only thing that popped into my head was the poop emoji.
And it was just like, I noticed, I think it was Chaz when he won in the second race, the little jade piece that we've got here, that was missing. So,
actually, I noticed that with Payne's as well.
Oh, was it Payne's?
I think it,
might have been Payne's. Yeah.
Payne's, yeah. But interesting. I don't know. Maybe it fell out. But,
he got ripped. He got ripped.
He got ripped. It's all right. He got the JR trophy. I'm sure.
There's no complaints there. Yeah.
No.
All right, and I guess probably the last bit before we kind of wrap up and get ourselves going for the F1 podcast.
Yes.
Let's talk the homologation team. So the announcement was made. So Team 18 got the nod. And then there was a whole bunch of news coming out about how it's not going to be a homologation team of the old, where basically it looks like in-house Jeremy is going to own that for GM. And then effectively will be utilising Team 18 to kind of do some of the testing and the building and helping out on that side. So it's not quite the homologation team that we know of right now. Interesting choice. What are your thoughts?
I I I don't really understand why you go with Team 18. They have no runs on the board,
Yep.
nothing to say that they're the right team to go with. I understand that they're having a change up in the way that they do things, so Jeremy Moore will be very much the lead engineer on that and making sure everything's a-okay. And it does sound like they're just giving him the car to allow him to do his job.
Yeah.
So you could always say that Jeremy Moore is the homologation team.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Yep.
But you know, look, congratulations to Team 18. They can call themselves the HT, and they reap some sort of benefit, I'm sure, by being so. So we'll see if that actually helps them on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch because, yeah, certainly doesn't feel like they were the strongest team to have it, but there's obviously reasons behind it that perhaps we either won't agree with or don't understand. That's where I can kind of sit with it because, yeah, it feels funny.
That's it. It does.
But that
All
brings an end to this one, and I guess thanks for watching. Make sure you follow us on the socials. We upload stuff there and try and keep all the news and results and things that are a bit quirky happening on there. I've figured out how to use Instagram, so that's good. The boom has started, and
The rumor has started.
and so I guess we will catch you next time, and yeah, we'll see you then, Steve.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks, Damo. Thanks, everyone. We'll speak to you next week.
See ya.